For the better part of the last 2 months, we've all been living in a pretty strange reality. As the COVID-19 coronavirus has caused our society to hit the reset button a little bit, we are learning how to do everything from home again, including working, taking care of, and in many cases, teaching our children while working, and all while trying to retain a semblance of normalcy and sanity in our lives. And that's just those of us who are lucky enough to still be working. For many in the construction industry, they are living through something else entirely different, as many contractors across the country have been forced to comply with stop work orders. Hello everyone, I'm Wayne Grayson, and you're watching Equipment World, where each week we bring you new videos on the latest in the construction industry, equipment, trucks, gear, and more. And today I am joined by a very special guest, our editorial director here at Equipment World, Marcia Gruberdor. Hello, Marcia.
Hello, everyone.
In this video, we are going to be hearing from contractors across the country who have been impacted by the coronavirus pandemic and how they are navigating their way through this unprecedented moment in our history and their careers. And because these contractors were gracious enough to speak with us for this story over Zoom teleconference, you'll be able to actually hear from and see the contractors as they explain their situation and tell their stories. Let's get into it. So, Marcia, to start us off, tell us a little bit about who we've heard from while you've been reporting out this story.
Wayne, we talked to contractors in 3 areas where construction work, for the most part, has ground to a complete halt. This was because either the governor or the mayor had issued a stop work order over concerns over coronavirus. Craig and Cindy Meyer with Generation 3 Excavating are out of the western Michigan town of Hamilton. Craig Meyer describes what happened after the Michigan governor issued her stay-at-home directive on March 24th.
Okay, we're going to go ahead and hear from Craig and Cindy Meyer now.
We were anticipating keeping the guys on, and by 5 o'clock we had completely changed our mind because of the just the stuff we were hearing. There was a direction that came down from when the governor here had done her speech and said, we're not going to be just playing fast and loose with this. There was a directive that came down to the law enforcement, and we were seeing law enforcement stopping dump trucks and so on the roads and asking, what are you doing? And this is not essential. So that by 5, 6 o'clock that night, we said, you know what, we're going to have a meeting. We're going to have to rethink this. And that Saturday, the 28th, we laid off everybody.
These contractors are living in the land of uncertainty. The biggest of which is they don't know when they're going to be able to start work. This is from Joyce Oliver with Total Asphalt Paving out of Ray Township, Michigan, which is north of Detroit.
It's changes from day to day is the best way to describe it. It's so hard to know next what to expect and what to plan for. So we're trying our best from week to week to just take a deep breath and move forward. Things are pretty shut down right now. There's not a whole lot of anything going on. We're not able to send any crews out yet.
Last week, we first talked to Robert Brash of Royce Construction, Ellison Park, Pennsylvania, which is outside of Pittsburgh. At the time, he was grappling with the fact it was hard to move forward without a possible start date. Here were some of his realities during that time.
I mean, the number one problem I have myself is I can't even decide what to do because I don't know when I can go back to work. And I feel like even if they set a date that was further out than I wanted to hear, at least I could plan for it. I have an idea, okay, this is how far we have to get, and this is how we can gear up, and we can talk to our suppliers and our projects to see, okay, this is how we're going to move forward as of this date. But the way we are now, I mean, we're in free fall. There's no way to gauge where we're going to go, when this is going to pick up, how it's going to pick up.
Since we talked with Brash, Pennsylvania Governor Tom Wolf has said public and private construction can start on May 9th, although those starts may be phased in. We'll be getting an update from Brash a little bit later on.
Now, Marcia, these stop work orders came at a pretty critical time, is that right?
For these contractors that we talked to, they were just gearing up to start work for the season.
We're typically, this time of year, we'd be starting to get some crews out to start prepping jobs and getting them ready. And we'd have 3 estimators out on the road, filling appointments daily. And we're not able to do that right now.
But, so you hire a new employee and you're working through all these startup things and you're just about ready to get fired up. You got general contractors that are wanting you on job sites, and then all of a sudden this thing comes along and shuts everything down.
Now, Marcia, it's correct that some of these contractors are seeing specific areas shut down, right?
Boston is the first major city in the U.S. to shut down most construction. James McKay with McKay Construction out of Wilmington, Massachusetts, describes the impact to his business this way.
When you're doing 16 jobs at a time and you lose half your jobs, it's pretty nerve-wracking because you gotta, when you're scheduling your manpower, and you always have fallback work, and basically we took all our fallback work and made it our mainstream work. So it's a hard thing. It's a hard thing to schedule at night, because if one thing falls through, you don't have a fallback job to send someone. Okay, hey, the permit didn't come through for this. Go to job Y instead of job X. And we always try to have fallback jobs. And I think the biggest nerve-wracking thing is usually we try to schedule these guys out earlier in the day, and you got to wait till the last minute.
Marcia, in the wake of this whole thing, whenever it does subside, how did these contractors that you spoke to, how do they see the job site changing?
The contractors we talked to know that there's going to be new safety protocols going forward. This is from James McKay again, who is working in the areas surrounding Boston right now.
On each job, every morning we do a pre-task report. So whoever's in charge of the pre-task report needs to be in charge of, okay, the machine operators each have a can of Lysol, spray your machine down. I don't care if you're the only one running it, just don't take a chance. Just spray it down, get that before you get in there. Don't take any chances. That's the thing I think now, is just not taking chances. There's no need of it. You could lose 2 weeks at a minimum, and sometimes your life, if you don't take this serious, if you're in the right, the right categories for it. So the protocols we have in place, the hand washing, the sanitizers, the masks, I think this is going to be life for about a year. I think this is going to be, we're just trying to break the guys into it now, because I think this is going to be the way of life for a long time. I see us probably carrying the social distancing and all that stuff through probably the course of a year. That would be my guess.
As Craig Meyer points out in the following clip, they've been social distancing all along. They're in their cabs, they're separated from each other on the job site.
One of the contractors I spoke to up near Buffalo, New York, who's actually, he said his business hasn't been impacted at all. So he's kind of on the flip side of these things. That's been one of his main arguments. And actually there in Buffalo, they feel like they're having to fly under the radar a little bit and kind of work incognito, even though, they kind of take these social distancing measures in their hands on a normal day of work. It's definitely been a point of frustration for a lot of contractors out there.
Yeah, it's like, come on, there's got to be a little bit of common sense. There's got to be a little bit of interpretation here where, we get on a job site, all 4 of us are on a job site here, the 4 operators that we have, 2 of them are running on a piece of equipment with a full cab, the door closed. The other 2 guys are probably working in the hole or working, running a chainsaw. Nobody is within 50 feet of each other. Give me a break. We can go and safely make the decision to work safely ourselves.
Now, Marcia, we also talked to these contractors. A big part of their business is going to be equipment purchases, and especially with a lot of guys ramping up around this time of year and making plans kind of moving forward. Equipment purchases are on the horizon. What impact have these work stoppages had on their plans for equipment purchases?
Really depends on the contractor. Some are telling us they're going ahead with their planned purchases. Others are taking a wait and see attitude. And still others said, hey, they've already made their purchases for the year prior to this, so it really didn't have an impact.
I haven't canceled anything yet, just because we have, knock on wood, a decent amount of backlog. So I haven't canceled anything yet. I think when we get out of this, we're going to recover from it, and I think we're going to hit the ground running. It's not going to be like turning the light switch on, but I think in June, I think it'll start picking back up faster again, and then I think by the summer we'll be back to normal procedure. So no, I haven't canceled anything yet.
The fact that we're talking about May 8th, if things get back this quickly and we have a good transition back to work, I don't think it's going to have that much of an impact on equipment purchases and things that we had planned for our schedule this year.
We had just purchased a new trailer. In fact, we took delivery of it in January, or no, it was actually in January we took delivery of it. We bought it, purchased it in December. So we really didn't have any equipment that we had on the market that we were looking to purchase.
So obviously a big kind of key to this, one of the things that we were really interested in hearing from contractors is what they think about this situation moving forward. And for these guys that are like right in the middle of it, have been completely brought to a halt, are they optimistic? What did they think is going to happen moving forward? Did they see things coming back? What's their outlook like?
First off, let's go to Robert Brash, who we talked to again after the Pennsylvania governor set a May 9th construction start. Again, this may be a phased-in start.
The people that we communicate with are checking with us. What do you is this the way you understand it? And we're comparing notes and, talking to GCs, contractors, developers, the people that are directly tied to us right now in our projects. Obviously, we're immediately on the phone. I don't think, we won't miss the opportunity to get right back to work, as soon as possible. But it is a good sign that we're moving towards progress, getting a date, having something to shoot for. And we've been communicating with our projects to see what their thoughts are. And as long as we get the green light, we're ready to go.
Contractors are also concerned, of course, especially as they look at the impacts to their 2020 bottom line.
So we're just really hopeful it's still going to be a good year and it'll be a hit, but we'll recover from it and move forward. So we have a good foundation as a company, and we've always, try to keep a little safety net that keeps ourselves above water if times did get rough. So we feel confident in that way. But obviously, the sooner we can get to work, the better.
We don't see projects till they're up for bid. They might be in the early stages. Those are the things that I want to get a feel for, how much of that we're going to see, because we're going to need that work. Fourth quarter, I think, for our own schedule, I think we'll be fine. It's fourth quarter going in through next winter. Things that aren't yet on our radar are going to be important as to if they actually come onto our radar. Is there projects out there that people are going to pursue that they had in mind that we haven't seen yet? That's going to be the next important phase for us.
I think everyone's praying for May 15th. I think, that the governor right now has it on for the 4th, May 4th. I don't see that coming true. But everyone's praying that the 15th. And I think if it goes beyond that, it's going to be some tough times for everybody. It's going to be some really tough times. Luckily, we've been going along, but a lot of my friends who are also competitors, that there's going to be tricky times ahead if it goes beyond the 2-month mark. I don't think a lot of people could survive. Even if you got the SBA money, you probably couldn't dig out of a hole like that.
So, at the end of that clip, James mentioned some really tough times possibly being on the horizon. And, one of the things that I have heard from in my conversations with contractors is that even though this situation is certainly unique, I mean, we haven't really seen anything like this in the modern United States in terms of doing business. While this is definitely unprecedented, there are some ways in which, there are similarities with economic downturns, recessions, and of course, most contractors in business now, still have the scars from the 2008 recession. So I mean, is that basically what you heard? That even though this is unprecedented, they still are kind of prepared to kind of get through this.
That's certainly true, Wayne. In fact, I think Craig Meyer with Generation 3 Excavating put it quite well. He waxed a little philosophical during our interview. Here's his comments.
We lived through the shoestring startup, the borrowing $500 from your life insurance policy to buy your first dozer, for a down payment. And you lived through the 2008 to 2012 downturn in the economy. So we've lived through those periods of time and those emotions, basically, through the tough times, to the point where you get to a point where you don't have any debt. You don't have debt. You don't have a lot of worry, and you've got good equipment. And that has always been one of our goals, was to have well-maintained, low-hour, late model equipment to operate on the projects that we're going out to do. So you get to the point where you can be a little calloused to the downturn of the industry, especially when something like this comes on as quickly as it did.
So with Craig's comments, that is going to wrap things up for us today here on Equipment World, discussing the work stoppages that many contractors across the country are currently dealing with. Marcia, thank you so much for joining me today. It's been good to talk to you about this situation.
Stay safe, everyone.
So if you liked this video or found the information in it useful in any kind of way, please do us a favor and hit the like button below. It really does help us out. And if you want more videos on the latest in the construction industry, equipment, trucks, gear, and so on, subscribe to our channel and be sure to turn on notifications so that you're getting up-to-the-minute alerts whenever we drop a new video. Thank you so much again for watching, and we will see you next time.